Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special extra edition of Faster Masters Rowing Radio this week. This is a very exciting time for me because in the background for about 6 months, none of you know this, I've been having quiet conversations with an amazing group of people who are breaking brand new ground as rowing innovators. And today I am delighted to welcome to the podcast James Thompson. And James is here from South Africa, representing the World Rowing Masters Regatta 2023. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, and obviously having World Masters Regatta 2023 South Africa on your show.
Now, you've probably got a fancy title, haven't you? What are you doing in regards to the regatta overall?
I'm not much for fancy titles. I'm part of the venue services team. So the way it's been described to me, at least, I had to work it out. Right, we all working this out. Is if you tip the venue upside down, everything that fell out would be in my portfolio, and I've split it. It looked a bit big for me, so I've split it with Niam Farity, who's been involved in South African rowing organizing for years and years. So yeah, I split that portfolio, but that's my title, venue services.
Now, this has been quite a few years in the making, and I believe I'm right in saying this is the first time that the World Rowing have they had any regatta in Africa?
There've been obviously Africa champs and qualifiers that have had a FISA title on them, but this is the only sort of global, I don't know what terminology is, but it's certainly the first international outside of South Africa that we have had. And that we probably will have, World Cups and stuff, possibly, but I don't think the appetite is huge for those items. I think this is probably one of the only time in our lifetime, certainly as South Africa, I can talk for that. I don't see, as an international athlete, I think this is the only time you're going to see a world rowing event in South Africa or in Africa for quite a long time to come.
Well, this is exciting. Now, let's start by telling us a little bit about where the racing is going to be. Where is the Roodeplaat?
So Roodeplaat Dam is the most beautiful venue. It's set in a nature reserve. It's 20 minutes outside of the capital, Pretoria, but it's also only about a 60-minute drive out of Johannesburg and the OR Tambo. So it's also about a 40-minute drive. So from the airport, you got about 40 minutes to the course. You've got a city right there, but you are out of the city. You're in a nature reserve, which is obviously in South Africa, we talk of the bush, which is the nature. It's out of the city. It's out of the urban area. And it's magnificent, right? We had a video just the other day of a water buck swimming across the course. The guys had to stop rowing to let the buck swim past them. It truly is a unique experience that I don't think you'll get outside Africa anywhere. It's a beautiful course. It's actually the home of our national training center. So it's an 8-lane, 2,000-meter rowing course. And it's one of the best pieces of training water in the world and one of the best pieces of racing water. It is at altitude, so you be fit, but I guess that's the case anyway. But a beautiful venue, a venue that our national team has called home for many years, and it's the center and the heart of South African rowing.
Wow! So it's easy to get to. The OR Tambo is the name of the airport, is that right?
That's correct. OR Tambo, often abbreviated to OR Tambo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just about a 40-minute, 30-minute trip across. We'll have a bus bringing you in. You can book that shuttle across. We had some complications, but we're about to name our transport partner, and they will be able to take bookings hopefully in the next week or two. You should get that.
Fantastic. Now, you're a long way from anywhere. I'm used to that. I also live a long way from anywhere. And of course, people are not going to be towing their own boats. So the regatta organisers have worked extremely hard to make sure that everything is as easy as possible. So James, can you just run us through the sort of logistics that someone who's planning on coming can take advantage of?
Sure. So yeah, we appreciate that people are out of their comfort zones. They're not driving their own cars. Traveling to European regatta is obviously a lot simpler, and within your normal style of traveling to regattas. But South Africa is very different, and I think the cost of getting to South Africa goes up a little bit. We appreciate that. But once you get to South Africa, you've got a very affordable destination. But then on the site, we've packaged it that we are able to service you end to end, so that you don't need to leave your comfort zone. These are all service providers that have been vetted, that we work with. Our travel partner Nexus works with each accommodation that's on that site. So you'll be able to book your transport from the airport to the accommodation that you've booked through us, one of the official accommodation partners. Every day you'll be able to get on and off a shuttle that gets you as often as you would like to the course and back. Most of the accommodation is in about a 15-minute distance of the course, based on it. And then there's a very special piece of accommodation, which is the glamping. Now, what glamping is it's beautiful canvas-based tents, well looked after. These glamping villages in South Africa, they're experts at it, right? It's not their first time they've ever doing it. That's an image of a camp done previously. Obviously, Roodeplaat has less rocks. That's the water in front of us is more suitable to rowing than that would be. But that's the style, right? Canvas tents, beautifully put together. It goes from 2-star all the way up to 5-star. And these guys are experts, and that is at the venue. So you'll be able to walk into the venue when you want, walk back to your tent when you want. The officials and all the FISA party will be staying in the glamping. The OC will be staying in the glamping. We don't want to stay anywhere else. That's, as far as South Africans goes, it's a unique experience to be able to put glamping down at a rowing event, but it's not a unique experience for us at an event. It's a big thing in South African sport. So that gives you an idea of the different styles of tents that you can book. So you can get from the airport with a bus into the glamping. We've got some amazing, because we're going to have more people on site, we expect up to maybe the glamping can peak out at about 1,000 people. I don't think we'll be quite that high, but that's how many we could have. We'll have evening entertainment after the racing. There'll be dinner. Your meals will be sorted within that space. That price includes breakfast and dinner. The glamping is going to be amazing. You're going to be right there for the opening ceremony, which we've got some amazing acts booked for that. And then the Saturday night, we know the Saturday night sometimes is an amazing experience at World Masters, and this one we guarantee you will be. We've got some amazing acts booked. We've got a stage built, and we'll definitely be doing that. And that'll happen within the venue. So if you're at the glamping, you've got a simple walk across the venue, and you're going to be there. You come and go as you please. So I definitely think the glamping is the best place to experience the event as a whole, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience to race in South Africa. So of course, why not travel across the world just this once and do it? It's not an every year thing. It's a bucket list event for a lot of people, and we're really looking forward to hosting everyone.
So boats provided, accommodation super easy, transportation and transfers super easy.
I didn't mention the boats. Sorry. Boats. We've got Filippi coming. We've got Swift coming. We've got Falcon coming, and then we've got a local boat pool, because they're all bringing boats, and a select number of them. But we have there's a big rowing community in South Africa, and there are a lot of international boats within that pool. So the local clubs have all clubbed together to make a single boat rental pool, and you'll be able to rent boats at probably less pricey, but you might be able to rent a Filippi through the local boat rental pool, for example, or a Hudson or something like that. So that local boat rental pool's got over 150 boats in it now. So that's really available for people to get booking. And they can say which events they're racing, and they can secure a boat already today.
And Oars are your local boat builder, is that right?
John Waugh, we have John Waugh. We have that's traditionally been the biggest one, and there are a couple of John Waughs in the country for sure. In that rental pool, so you could choose to race a locally made John Waugh. They're amazing boats. I raced one locally towards the end of my career in the single, and I actually still own a John Waugh as my personal single. So there's nothing wrong with them, I promise you that. I think the standard of what you're used to in Europe, you would be pleasantly surprised the standard of the boats that we have in that local rental pool.
Yeah, I anecdotally was told that John Waughs are equivalent to Sykes from Australia, from Stanley in the UK. They're really good boats.
Yeah, they hold a lot of the South African records. I like the single that towards the end, the lightweight single record was definitely broken in a John Waugh with me. And they've, through the course of our time, they've probably been, I guess, it's been about 30 years of John Waughs being raced in South Africa. But that said, that local pool's also got a lot of the boats that people are very comfortable with and can get the shape that they're used to. So speak to the local guys, speak to the international guys. All bookings are open for that, and they are taking. I know that the bookings are flowing. So secure your boats. If you've got your entries in, you know what you're racing. You may as well secure your boat now. And then Oars, obviously, as with the normal regatta, they'll either be with the local provider, with the boat provider you choose, or you can cross and get the exact oars you want out of any of the boats rental suppliers.
Fantastic. So there's a lot of information on the website for people. So go to wrmr2023.africa, and there is stuff about the regatta program, what you can do for boat rental, the venue map. There are things about visitors. There are things for supporters to do, lots of FAQs, brochures in many languages, online bookings, as James hinted, for accommodation, day trips and travel packages. And it's worth looking at the news tab as well, because that's where you get the updates, which are the bulletins. And so there's one which was just published just now, back end of last year, which is well worth reading because it gives you an enormous amount of context. Now, James, there's a newsletter that people can join. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a newsletter that comes out every Friday or every second Friday, and that's update on where we are on organizing, update on the latest stuff getting added to the full service offering. And a marketing team is very active with that. I'm sure a lot of people have seen the social media, seen us at various events around the world. So yes, that is the best place probably to get the latest information on the journey as we guys start coming towards South Africa.
Great. You will find the link to the newsletter in the footer on the website under the Facebook and Instagram. So do join that, because I happen to know, a little birdie told me, that there's a discount on Faster Masters rowing training programs if you're on the newsletter.
Well, then you best sign up.
Now, I'm coming all this way to South Africa. What other things should people think of doing if they've never been to SA before?
Yeah, so we got the big three. So there's the bush, there's the berg, which is our mountain, and beach, right? So the bush, afterwards or before or afterwards, consider a safari. That's a uniquely African experience. To go on a safari, I would recommend going up to Kruger National Park. If you've only got a day or two, you can even go just 40 minutes from the venue, 30 minutes from the venue about is Dinon King. You can stay in a place there called Bongena, and that's got the big five for you. That's just up the road. But if you've got a little bit more time, then you go further, a couple of hours away up to Kruger National Park. And that's truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. They'll look after you really well. You'll be able to book all of that. You could book through the website, but there are lots of tour operators that do it. Kruger National Park, magnificent. Then we've got the most magnificent mountain range in the middle of South Africa called the Berg, and there really is awesome mountains stuff there if you are a mountain person and you want to experience that. But ultimately, Cape Town's also on everyone's bucket list, and to go into the winelands, to go along the coast up there. There's just beautiful stuff around Cape Town. Obviously Table Mountain, the hiking that you could do around there, and just sort of the beaches around Camps Bay. You could easily disappear for a week into Cape Town and the near surroundings. So there's probably 2 weeks of stuff to do after the event. You could squeeze it down into an awesome 5 days if you pick just safari or just Cape Town. But I would recommend couple of days in the bush after the event to decompress, and then go down to Cape Town and explore which is one of the most magnificent cities in the world.
Now, the regatta's at the end of September. What's the temperatures like in September? Because you're coming out of winter, so it's springtime.
Yeah, so the conditions in South Africa are pretty mild. They don't swing, so it is our springtime. As you say, the conditions will be below 30, but you won't be getting down into the 10s, so you should have a pretty mild day around the mid 20s. Very low chance of rain at that time of year for us. We're coming out of our dry season, which is amazing for safari. Actually, it's the right time of year to be going on safari in South Africa because the bush is a bit thinner. It's not as thick, so you get to see animals better for the listeners who haven't necessarily been on safari before. So it's the right time of year for that. And then Pretoria has a thunderstorm risk, but at that time of year, it's very low. So that's why we've picked that time of year to get us into our spring where the weather is nice and sublime, but we're not into the storm seasons yet, which come more like November. So it's a really, we rode Roodeplaat year round in t-shirts, if the truth be told.
Okay.
So it's not really a consideration. The mornings in winter can be quite cold at Roodeplaat, but after about 9 o'clock in the morning, you're into a t-shirt almost every day of the year.
Fantastic. James, thank you for coming, being our guest, getting us all excited. I mean, I'm really feeling very revved up generally about the whole thing. So that's the World Rowing Masters Regatta, September 2023 in South Africa. Any final words?
We look forward to seeing all your listeners, right? I suspect they'll all be there. You'll find me at the bar. I'll be settled in there most evenings and enjoying the entertainment after a good day's racing.
I think it's going to be amazing. And I certainly can't see any other regatta matching the sort of diversity and unique quality of things that you've got lined up. Thank you. It's been brilliant having you here. And to all of our listeners, remember, it's a lot of fun to go on holiday and go rowing at the same time. If you haven't done a World Rowing Masters Regatta, the format is pretty simple. We all know the age categories. The races are done as divisions, so you don't get heat, semi-final. Each race is a straight final its own right, but is drawn so that you're against athletes who are close in age to yourself. And it is an incredibly fun event, and I recommend it heartily to anybody. This has been Faster Masters Rowing Radio, bringing you a little special insight of something extra. Till next